Go ahead.
Welcome to our regular meeting of council in person and live streamed electronically for Tuesday, May the 5th. Announcements are the 2026 municipal election nomination period opened on May 1st. While not required, those interested in filing their nomination papers are encouraged to contact the clerk to make an appointment. Half loads were lifted as of May 4th. There are limited spots available for the Monday night Zumba class at Rosedale Hall. Contact the township office for more information. This week is Emergency Preparedness Week, and the theme is Be Prepared, Know Your Risks. Individuals are encouraged to understand the risks in their communities and learn what actions they can take to protect themselves and their households. Follow the township's Facebook page for more information. On May 7th at 1:55 p.m., there will be a test of the Alert Ready system in Ontario. The township office will be closed on Monday, May 18th for Victoria Day. Our land acknowledgement. The council and staff of the Township of Montague acknowledge that this sacred land on which the Township of Montague is now located and this meeting is being held is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. We'll have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. So moved by Councillor Johnson and seconded by Deputy Reeve Carroll that the regular meeting of council agenda dated May 5th, 2026 be approved as presented this date. All in favor? And that's carried. Disclosure of interest now or at any time during our meeting. Moved by Deputy Reeve Carroll and seconded by Councillor Crabtree that the minutes from the regular meeting of council dated April 21st, 2026 be approved as presented this date. All in favor? And that's carried. Do we have any business arising from our minutes of our previous meeting? We have no delegations, no reports of municipal officers. So moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Councillor Johnson that council approve the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting dated April 21st, 2026 and the recommendations contained within. All in favor? And that's carried. Moved by Councillor Johnson, seconded by Deputy Reeve Carroll, that council approve the minutes of the Montague Recreation Culture Committee, MRCC, meeting dated March 23rd, 2026, as presented this date. All in favor? And that's carried. Petitions from bylaws. Moved by Deputy Reeve Carroll, seconded by Councillor Crabtree, that bylaw 4214-2026 being a bylaw to regulate the keeping and licensing of animals in the Township of Montague, be read first, second, and third time and passed, signed, and sealed this 5th day of May 2026. All in favor? And that's carried. We have no notice of motions. Our action items are Lanark County invitation to the Municipal Advisory Working Group.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. So we received this correspondence from the County of Lanark. It's dated April the 28th. And they're requesting that we appoint, or that we provide recommendations to appoint 2 people to a municipal advisory working group that would essentially be dealing with planning type matters and natural heritage systems. One of those individuals would be a planning staff member and the other a member of council. The timing, appointing people at this point in time, knowing that there is an election pending. Staff have drafted the resolution that you have in front of you to essentially see if that could be deferred. If maybe the working group would be better to start in the fall once we've got new council elected, because appointing people now and they might be different people in the fall might be a good idea. But if they choose not to defer, then a recommendation to appoint. So I don't know if you want to just go ahead and read it.
What I have is moved by Councillor Crabtree, second by Councillor Johnson, that council directs staff to contact the County of Lanark to suggest that the implementation of the Municipal Advisory Working Group be deferred to the next term of council. And that, should this deferral not be approved, the clerk, planning manager, Kirsten Cote, and one of us from council be recommended appointees to the municipal advisory working group representing the township of Montague. So that is what we have. So,
So we need to pick someone from council.
yeah,
So, yeah,
And it doesn't have to be county council, it can be any council.
yeah, I was just saying, one of the complications is because it's, like we discussed this because it's kind of falls under economic development area, so that we picked the consultant as well to initiate the study and everything else, so I'm wondering if it's gonna be delayed or if there's a possibility for delay. Yeah, that's why. The only speaker for sure, so.
They're looking for those names, to be supplied to the county by May the 29th. So
Right.
that's why we're bringing it now.
Mhm.
And I see it says 4 meetings per year.
Yeah.
But it doesn't say when.
Yeah, I think there's,
So like, is it just if it's a day one, an evening one,
I think a lot, yeah, I would imagine they're like a lot of those ones in the county when you have what they are during the day.
Mhm.
That's a big piece of it too as well. Like there's a working group that's already like part of it too as well. They have some community members, they have everything else too as well. Because we approved sort of what the national corridor study is supposed to look like. And the company we have has done national corridor stuff for a bunch of different municipalities and counties too as well. So it's good in that sense. So I think they're just trying to get as much information. It's like, it's kind of a big deal, right? Because it's talking about like where obviously animals and everything sort of flow to, and it could affect the reason why planning, it could affect development, it could affect a lot of different things. So there's a lot of concern and worrying, I'm gonna say, over it too as well, to make sure that it's done right and not utilized as something that's going to like shut down development or shut down like people's land rights and all of that kind of idea. So but I worry that we have to make, like, as far as trying to defer, I think it's a great recommendation, because I hear where you're coming from, because we got to change the council, they got to take in every municipality too as well. But I think they're also working towards, like now that the consultant's been picked, there's probably like an end date and a time frame for it that they're gonna have through it too as well, so that might be kind of tricky, so. Anyways, that's just my perspective, but if we, in the same token, picking somebody, like, I'd be open for doing it, the other side of it too as well, like, I'm already in it too as well because of, my commitments with the Economic Development Committee. And a different group that's also working with it too as well, because we put together another group from the trails, from, different businesses too as well, so. I could open up to anybody else if they want to, because I'm already committed in doing it, or because I'm already committed doing it, whatever, however that works, so for council, so.
so will you be there automatically with economic development, or?
I kind of will be, not maybe necessarily with that, because the fact though is like I was put in that committee because as the chair of the Economic Development Committee, I was told that you are part of this because of you. So that was one of the things
Right.
as far as chair of the committee, so I'm like, okay. Yeah,
So if somebody else doesn't want to, I can certainly volunteer through the daytime.
And then-
Not then you
Okay,
stay
yeah.
as your chair.
in the interim, like if there's a need for it, I'll, like, it is only 4 times, so like. I can take some more time off, but just if there's no other, or if somebody has a conflict, I can always fill in.
So do you want me, because, I mean, if we're only going to get started, because I don't want, but if it's busy for you, because I don't mind stepping back, if you would like to sit on it.
I won't say I want to,
Okay,
but I'll do it for the benefit if we need me to, and that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
I can do that. So I'm open to not doing it, I will do it if you need me to.
because I don't mind sitting since it's through the day and I am retired, and then we can go from there if we want. Okay. So I'll put myself down.
Thank you, Ken.
Not a problem. Okay, so it's moved by Councillor Crabtree, seconded by Councillor Johnson, that council direct staff to contact the County of Lanark to suggest that the implementation of the municipal advisory working group be deferred to the next term of council. And that, should this deferral not be approved, the clerk, planning manager, Kirsten Cote, and Karen Jennings, be recommended appointees to the municipal advisory working group representing the township of Montague. All in favor? And it's carried. Thank you. All right, so our next one is, I'm finding it warm in here, sorry. Of all things, a long sleeve shirt. It's outside, I think, so we're doing. Yeah, the pivotal green 2026 Canadian Youth Climate Action Awards. So,
Yeah, that's fine.
yeah, this came through an email that was redirected to us because it went somewhere it wasn't supposed to, but anyway. And it's just announcing the winners of the 2026 Canadian Youth Climate Action Award. So it says Pivot Green, in partnership with the Small Change Fund, is pleased to announce the winners of the 2026 Canadian Youth Climate Action Award. Now, in its fourth year, our award recognizes the important work that young Canadians are undertaking in concert with our other generations in the fight against climate change. First place winner received a plaque celebrating their achievement, along with an honorarium of $7,500 to support their ongoing work. 2 runner-up winners have received $3,500 each. Honorable mentions have been awarded to 9 organizations, each receiving $1,000 prize. This year's award winners included 2 Canada-wide projects, as well as winners from 6 different provinces. So honorable mention for the $1,000 prize was awarded to Montague Public School Echo Team, Smith Falls, Ontario. So we want to definitely recognize the hard work of our children and the teachers, the staff at Montague Public School. And that is why we put this onto our agenda, so that we could bring it forward to say thank you, because everything that they've been doing in our community has been beneficial. So thank you again to the Montague Public School students as well as to staff. So we have no further items except for our in camera. So before we adjourn to go to committee of whole, do we have any questions of our audience? No. Okay, so moved by Councillor Johnson and seconded by Deputy Reid Carroll that council recess the council meeting at 6:12 p.m. All in favor? And that's carried.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Committee of the Whole in first, live stream electronically Tuesday, May 5th, 2026. Opening of the meeting, we'll have land acknowledgement, council and staff. The township of Montague acknowledge that this sacred land on which the township of Montague is now located. This meeting is being held as an ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe Nation. Next be the adoption of the agenda. Moved by Reid Jennings, second by Councillor Crabtree, that the Committee of the Whole agenda for May 5th, 2026 be approved as presented this date. All in favor? Carried. Disclose any interest now or throughout the meeting at your discretion. No delegations or deputations. Report of municipal offers. We'll start off with MRCC Chair, Mr. Johnstone.
Johnston.
Johnston. It should be spelled Johnson, but we'll let that go.
No, I think you're the one.
You're the one.
We won't debate it any further,
Go ahead.
especially when we're on air. Okay, well, thank you very much, council. So I'm here presenting our report, for the first quarter of the year. So January the 1st, 2026 to March 2026. The first event we had was Winterfest on one of the coldest, bitter weekends, but it was sunny. So the committee, we hosted a few events on that weekend, the last weekend of January. We had our euchre night with the seniors at the Forget Me Not Club, sorry. The seniors indicated that there was an increase of participants at their event. Along with that, on the Friday night, we also had a glow dance. We had 40 kids with their parents attend. Some parents just dropped off their kids and left, and we became the sitters, I guess. But it was fun. We had Monty Moose at the event as well. And the kids had a wild time and a great time with their bands on their heads and their wrists and rings all glowing in the dark. It was great. Parents basically said to us they would love to see that event happen more throughout the year. So we'll put that, we'll keep that, so we might be able to do a single Friday night or something. The outdoor events on the Saturday morning, including skating, sledding. We had sleigh rides, we had games, all at the 22-acre park during the day. We had hot dogs on an open fire pit. We served along with that with hot chocolate and the hot cider. The only problem we had that day was trying to keep the mustard, the relish, and the ketchup from freezing. And it froze pretty quickly. We had quite a few people out to it, even though it was so cold. But the kids enjoyed the games. Saturday night, we held the Yuck Yucks performance at Rosedale Hall. Definitely attendance was down compared to last year for the event. One of the comments that we did receive, well, several comments about the same thing, was the performance, the content of the performance was a little risky, let's put it that way. So I'm not sure if that's affecting our attendance at the Yuck Yucks. So we will consider something maybe a little different, maybe a different club. Who knows? But we are going to talk about that. But definitely Yuck Yucks we are getting some very negative comments about that. We also had yoga on the Sunday morning, and we had a children's movie take place, and probably we won't do again because we only had 3 people, 3 kids and 4 parents show up to it. But we held the movie, we had snacks, we had popcorn, you know, at a typical movie. Probably won't do it again though. I think it's a 2-day event. Probably keep it to the 2-day event rather than having that 3rd day on the Sunday. And just probably because parents want to stay home and relax. At the end of March, on March the 28th, just recently, we had our 4th annual Easter breakfast. We served pancakes, sausages, we had coffee, juices, all available for $7 per person, $5 for kids under 12. Attendance again, we're down for it. But we did have 20 people, I think, in total that showed up. And they just brought their kids for the Easter Bunny. And I don't know if it's because people are finding it tough now to pay for things, who knows? But so, you know, if we didn't charge them anything, we just let the kids in and They had their pictures taken with the Easter Bunny. But I think there was probably around 20 people. But who came, really enjoyed the breakfast. Our chefs were top notch. Thank you, council. You did a great job again. We had something a little different this year. We decided not to go with petting zoo because time of the year mainly. And also we wanted to do something a little different. So we hired a company that did professional face painting and balloon artist. A big hit. The lineups were incredible at both. In fact, the face painter stayed a little overtime because just to get the lineup down. The balloon artist at the end was making swords just to get the line down rather than throughout the entire breakfast. He was making hats, bunnies, whatever the kids wanted, he made, and it was a big hit. So definitely we will keep that in mind for next year again. We continue on with the volleyball. Season goes through till March the 27th, May 27th at the Montague Public School. We continue on with the weekly yoga on Wednesday nights at Rosedale Hall. And we had our first Zumba class at Rosedale Hall this year. As I think I mentioned in our last report, our Tuesday evenings was supposed to be the night, but it sold out extremely quickly, and we ended up having to do a second night. That second night didn't sell out, but we still had 15 out of the 20. And people wanted it back. So we are bringing it back which is starting on May the 11th, I think is the date. I'm getting old, so I can't remember everything. So big success. We had some comments maybe that the teacher wasn't as, in tune. This was her first time, I think, holding classes, and maybe she could have done a better job instructions or whatever. But people want her back, and we'll give her another try and see what happens. Coming up in the second quarter of 2026, again, we have the yoga on the Wednesday nights. We're having the Zumba class starting on the Monday, which is, I think, May the 11th at Rosedale Hall. That's just been advertised today for people to sign up. And we will be participating in yet to be decided on the 50th anniversary of the Montague Township Fire Department, and a date to be determined at that as well. All right, so we have our meetings are held at the fourth Monday of the month at Rosedale Hall. We are starting at 6 o'clock now. Of course, we're looking for new members all the time or volunteers. Are there any questions? I think I've covered it all.
That's good.
Thank you. Very
Just noting that it says May and June meetings, so we'll be at the township office.
Oh, yes, sorry, because Mondays, we're starting Zumba.
Right.
Thank you. So we will be holding the meetings here. And that will be advertised. But normally at Rosedale Hall.
Any questions?
Hopefully we can get more people out to volunteer. They love our activities. We just need the volunteers.
Yeah.
Many hands made for light work.
Correct.
The breakfast really went well. Really fun.
We were very prepared for that one. I think that one was
Lots of volunteers.
the most prepared we've ever been as a council and as a committee. We're ready to get hit.
Yeah, we had like 11 volunteers with a lot of families with the committee members and what have you. The year before, I think we had 3. And one was on the committee and 2 were my first time volunteering, and I did dishes.
You did a good
So
job.
much fun.
That's good. Right. Okay,
you very
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Appreciate all your hard work. Moved by Councilor Crabtree, seconded by Deputy Carroll, that council accept the first quarter Montague Recreational Culture Committee report for 2026 as information. All in favor? Carried. Building Inspector Jay Han, I'm not seeing him in the crowd. Mr. Ray can be in charge of this there?
Thank you, Chair. So you'll see in the report that Jordan's done up that housing starts were a little slower than the previous year. But they are starting to pick up now, and I think the spring market was just a little slower than previous years, maybe a little more snow this year than normal. But otherwise he's on par, and things are looking good, and he's been busy in his department taking the training towards the CBO designation, and cleaning up some old files and dealing with some old files as well.
Any questions?
Built a great work.
Yeah, no, he's doing a great job.
Yeah.
All right, moved by Deputy Carroll, second by Reeve Jennings, that council accept first quarter building department report for 2026 as information. All in favor? Carried. And next, we'll move on to Ms. Raykin again.
Thank you, Chair. So this is actually opposite. Installations have been a little higher. The revenue is lower just because we had the consents in 2025 from the subdivision applications. So overall, though, no concerns as far as the septic side of the revenue. Over the last couple of years, if council will recall, septic has actually had some surplus that we've been able to put into reserves to offset for future years. So
Perfect. Any questions?
No.
None. Moved by Reeve Jennings, second by Councilor Crabtree, the council accept the first quarter septic department report for 2026 information. All in favor? Carried. All right, this would appear to be a Braken also. Ms. Braken?
thank you. I will take all the kudos for the
Yeah.
fire department.
Obviously, you've done a tremendous job.
So I think that the first quarter was relatively normal as far as calls. I think since then it's been a little bit more increased on the calls. Not even just so much us, but also assist in calls and things like that. So no different than normal. Our department's doing a ton of training, a lot of in-house training, which is saving the ratepayers a lot of money from having that expertise in-house and doing those things. Being part of the community, so in the winter a little less than normal for our group, but still active in anywhere that they're ever asked to be. So really no different, just kudos to the department. They're always there, and yeah, we're pretty proud to have those guys. And with this week, yesterday was International Firefighters Day, just shout out to the entire group.
Any questions? No, I think we all definitely appreciate the fire department, that's for sure. It's great group. They do a lot of work, and not just as firefighters, but as volunteers for a lot of other stuff, so
Absolutely.
much appreciated. Moved by Council Crabtree, second by Deputy Reeve Carroll, the council accept first quarter fire department activity report for 2026 as information. All in favor? Carried. All right. I think that's Ms. Braken again.
There's nothing here to report, it's just your regular quarterly, no issues.
Do you have any questions about no issues? Okay. Moved by Deputy Carroll, seconded by Reeve Jennings, the council accept first quarter water operating report for 2026 information. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Public Works. I don't see Ed either.
No, I'm gonna,
Ms. Braken.
Ed's gonna apologize, he had to miss this evening, so I'll take Public Works as well. So it was a relatively busy winter for Public Works, a lot of weekend and evening events that caused, you'll see later in my reports, some additional overtime. So they were very busy, didn't get a lot of time off this winter. Gravel road maintenance, again, it's been a wet spring, the roads look fabulous now since they've been able to dry out a little bit and allow them to get on the grading. Included is the roads that we've spoke about for the maintenance gravel this year. We will be bringing something back on Guthrie at the next meeting, just to have that discussion to make sure that we're going in the appropriate direction that council's looking for. Culverts, dealing with any kind of freezing and thaw and stuff like that in the spring to make sure that flooding was minimized. So Ed has put out crack sealing to get pricing to do Bauer Boulevard. As council will recall, we got a $38,000 grant through the pothole program. So although it wasn't budgeted, the crack sealing, that will be the funds that we use towards that. Road construction, McLaughlin, at the time of end of March, we were uncertain. You're now aware that Beckwith has approved it in their budget. The crews are out doing trimming, brushing, all those good spring activities as they can. The reflectivity of the signs was completed in April. So that's done. The tender for the truck is out, and gone and approved by council for the purchase of that. Matheson culvert replacement is, been awarded as well, and will start, once the spawning season. There's a lot of dewatering for that project. It's a little bigger than a normal culvert. Waste was down slightly. The recycling, the transition to the new contractor has been phenomenal. I think that everybody in the office can state that we get very few calls now compared to the previous contract. So the province changing the contractor in our area has been, I would say, a benefit as far as us receiving calls. And I'm not sure if you guys have received many complaints about it or anything. So that's been a great transition. And then just general operations, that the crews do. So all the plows have been removed, clean, painted, everything's been oil sprayed, you know, kind of ready for the summer season. So, again, great job by Public Works. They put a lot of hours in this winter, a lot of time away from family and family commitments. So we appreciate them for all that they do as well, and, keeping our roads safe and, cleared. So, yeah.
So definitely agree with that. It's a lot of hard work all winter long, and spring was crazy, so. The roads do look great. My phone has stopped ringing, which makes me very happy. And there's no one at the end of my driveway to complain about potholes, so that's also a good thing. We did have some complaints about someone doing donuts on Birchall Road after it was beautifully graded. But that'll sort itself out. Other than that, does anyone else have any questions?
I just say, like, just to kudos up on that too as well. They've done a phenomenal job over the winter time. That's not easy keeping those roads clear. We hear that a lot too as well, how well our roads get plowed and everything else as well. So it really is phenomenal. They did a great job. Obviously, exactly what you said with the gravel road, but getting the roads under control with, I mean, that was a rough spring, obviously, and they did a great job. The roads are great. Like,
Yeah.
driving back through them and everything else, like it makes a big difference. And I think you hit the nail on the head, is if people see, people out there wrecking the roads or doing donuts, doing that, like, report that to the township so we can get on that too as well, because the guys work so hard to make sure they're getting the roads in the right condition. And that doesn't take long for someone to spin out and do those wreckages of the road. So we strongly encourage anybody to make sure that you're contacting the township. So we can hopefully, that came up at the public meeting too as well, and Allison really pointed out too as well. If we have it, we put cameras up before, we will shame the people that do it. We have no tolerance whatsoever for that type of behavior out there. I think we're all on the same page as far as that goes. So, like, I think it's a big part too as well, is contact us. We want to know if people are abusing our infrastructure, so we can make sure that it's being dealt with accordingly. So I think that's a really big thing. So,
Yeah, no, exactly with that. It's a couple of the neighbors that really were upset about potholes and that. They were genuinely upset that the road had just been nicely graded, and now there's ruts. And now when I drive it now, I know exactly where those ruts are, because you hit them every time now. But hopefully that'll resolve itself. It's unfortunate people do that, but go ahead.
Just a little bit more on that. Again, thank you very much to Public Works. They did a lot of hours this winter. We actually got quite a bit of snow, and they were on top of it. And some late nights, early mornings, and thank you very much to all of them for, putting in the hours and missing out on some quality time with some family. It does not go unnoticed, and not only us, but I'm sure the community appreciates the roads. Our roads are pretty fantastic even in the winter, just for driving purposes. So thank you very much to all of the staff.
It's not part of a quarterly report because it's not that quarter. But since it's coming up soon, just a reminder of the household hazardous waste opening in Carlton Place for all those that have held their oils over the winter and all that stuff, because it'll soon be coming up that Montague gets to participate in. So just a reminder.
Anything else? Moved by Reeve Jennings, second by Councilor Crabtree, that council accept the first quarter public works report as information. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Alrighty, move on to Grace Francis, first quarter senior active living center.
Thank you, Chair. As you can see in the report before you this evening, we just wanted to bring forward a little bit of information about the frankly very successful SALC activities that we've been able to kind of host here in Montague. Also wanted to do this to, encourage participation and engagement from our residents and members of the community that maybe aren't from Montague. Lots of kind of fun things going on. Bus trips are typically strictly 55 plus. There's a odd one here and there that will open up to everyone. But then craft nights and exercise classes are open to everyone, no matter kind of what age you are, but there's typically a discounted rate that's being offered to those who are of that 55 plus age bracket, I guess, and who are holding an SALC membership with the township. This is our first year running kind of a membership program here at the township level. And we've been able to have 145 members that registered with us, which is very good numbers. Granted, not all of those are residents of Montague, but for a $20 fee for the entire year, it's open to anyone who's maybe not a ratepayer that wants to get in on these activities. We're very grateful for, the financial, I guess, aspect that has been provided to us by the provincial government through that SALC funding. That really allows us to host these programs and events for the community at that discounted rate. I also want to take a quick moment to kind of shout out our yoga instructor, Cress. Everyone really seems to love her a lot, and we appreciate her coming over from Perth to kind of help us host those yoga events. So looking forward into the second quarter. I know that we're into May now, but we've got a few things coming up. Comedy show this Thursday, I guess, that's sold out now. There may be another craft night in May, and then there'll be a macrame plant hanger night coming up on June 8th. So if any of kind of the things that you're seeing may be of interest to you, make sure that you're following our Montague 55 plus Facebook page if you're on there, or you're registering for a membership so you get those emails directly to your inbox.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Yeah, the senior program is definitely a big hit. Of course, Jim's the only person on council over 55, so that's a but one day we hope to get there. Does anyone have any questions?
For the craft nights, anybody that is hesitant to sign up, all the instructors are excellent. I don't do crafts very well at all. I still have one craft still sitting at home that's not been finished since last November, but anyway, it's a lot of fun and it's a good night out, that's for sure. So, but the signs that have been done with Swirlicious, also the flower arrangements that are done with Lil. I mean, these ladies are excellent and they're all very patient for those of us that can't do them.
Anything else? Thank you, Grace. We appreciate all the hard work that gets put into that. Moved by Councilor Crabtree, second by Deputy Reeve Carroll, that the council accept first quarter senior active living center report as information. All in favor? Carried.
Grace could do the letters.
Next is Kirk Planning Manager Kirsten Cote. First quarter planning statistics for 2026.
Okay, thank you, Chair. You'll note the first quarter is a little slow, but I think that's to be expected based on Mother Nature. She was feisty, the first part of this year. But there have been a lot of applications coming through recently, so things are starting to pick up. I will say that a lot of the applications that are coming through are a little bit more complex, and some of them involve title issues, so they do take a little bit more time, but we're up for the challenge. Yeah, anyone has any questions?
No questions? Thanks, Kirsten. Moved by Deputy Carroll, seconded by Reed Jennings, that council accept the first quarter planning report as information. All in favor? Carried. Alrighty. For planning manager, Kirsten Cote.
Okay, thank you, Chair. So we sort of started this clerk's department reporting initiative at the end of last year. So this is sort of the first quarter clerk's department report. And this report includes what I'll call measurable data, so things that I can legitimately track. So we've got the comparable council and COW meetings from the first quarter of 2026 and 2025. The numbers are quite similar. The difference in particular would relate more to in-camera, seems to, and special meetings. As far as bylaw enforcement is concerned, the first quarter often is slow because a lot of the property standards matters aren't really detectable until the snow is gone. We have recently had a conversation with bylaw, and we'll be following up on some of those enforcement matters that were kind of put on hold until the spring. I think the other numbers are just sort of pretty self-explanatory. Livestock claims, we haven't had any yet this year, but that's a good thing. We don't like livestock claims. So if there's any questions.
Any questions from anyone? No. Moved by Reed Jennings, second by Councilor Crabtree, the council accept the first quarter clerk's report or 2026 information. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. All right, next we'll do something different. Good. Municipal manager, treasurer, deputy clerk, Allison Bracken.
Just back to Allison.
On the train. There's no one else.
Thank you, Chair. So as we discussed previously, Public Works had some overtime in the first quarter due to weather events. It was still lower than the first quarter of 2025, believe it or not. So they're still efficient, even if they're being bombarded with snow. You'll see the big change on the water side from implementing the sampling stations and changing the water. Went down from about 105, 110 to 6 hours in the first quarter. So that's a big change for that side of things. And then on admin, it was similar to previous years. No concerns as far as budget numbers yet. We're early on in the year, and we're still looking financially responsible at this point in time.
Okay, does anyone have any questions? No, it seems to be the water reporting part is definitely saved us some cash. That was a good call there. All right, moved by Councilor Crabtree, seconded by Deputy Carroll. The council received 2026 first quarter report on staff overtime as information. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Ms. Bracken.
Thank you, Chair. This is the budgetary control report to March 31st. We passed our budget in early January 20th, and then water wastewater was February 17th. Again, it's early on in the year. Throughout there will be varying amounts just based on what invoices come in and paid and things like that. Airport, we're not expected to have any expenditures this year, but if we do, it'll be at the end of the year. Fire, you'll note that the hydro seems high. It needs to be split still between Public Works and Fire on the new complex. Recreation, you'll see the revenue for hall rentals is already over our budgeted amount for the entire year because the hall rentals have been extremely busy. I think we have 3 weddings in there this year. And it's just been used a lot. It's been fabulous, but So on the other side, you're also gonna see that the wages for the custodian are a little higher. Social services, all the donations were made in the first quarter because our budget is approved early, so those cemetery and grant donations go early. So based on the first quarter, there's no major financial implications that we're concerned about at this time.
Any questions for Ms. Brereton? Moved by Deputy Carroll, seconded by Reeve Jennings, that council received budgetary control report as of March 31st, 2026. As information, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Still is necessary.
Thank you. So this one, has a little bit more to this discussion for the capital works and, grant projects update. So in April, the province, implemented a Buy Ontario procurement directive to municipalities. So that's going to change drastically how we do our capital purchases. It's going to have a fairly substantial cost implication to us. So there was a training webinar late last week, that we took. Now, it's not going to necessarily impact us as much in 2026 because our tenders and our purchases were done prior to this. But the new directive is basically that we are to look for Ontario and or Canadian built items first. And unless they are 25% more than other items, we are to go with those. They also have to score higher. So lowest bid does not mean anything based on the examples that were provided to us. Actually, the highest bid got it because of that extra scoring. An example would be half-ton trucks. So they have them in tiers, and the tier 1 truck that meets the criteria, and the only one is the Chevy Silverado. So I would anticipate that all of those vehicles are gonna end up going up in value because they now know that this is happening. So there is some ways around it as far as purchasing used vehicles. But anyways, so there's a lot of concerns around the question and answer period, especially for small municipalities, that this is a substantial workload in the procurement side of things. They want supply management plans in place. Like our building over here would have been right down to the screws having to be Robertsons instead of Phillips. And where those are coming from. So the small municipalities are saying we don't have procurement teams for people that already have 3 jobs and now you've just added another whole task. So we'll have to see how it plays out. A lot of now emergency service stuff seems to be pretty much exempt. So fire trucks and things like that. Trucks over 4,500 kilos seem to be exempt. So our big tandems and things like that. But there's definitely going to be an implication on this. And we've asked, like, is the province going to provide additional funding to, and that was a no. So this will be part of our procurement now, just so council's aware that this is going to be part of the whole process. And it is anticipated to increase costs. So with that, our 2026, again, we were fairly well ahead of the game. With the passing of early budget and having kind of shelf-ready design drawings for McLaughlin and things like that. So the tandem plow has been approved by council, brushing, ditching activities throughout the township. So we kept the second excavator, so that's been ongoing, and you'll continue to see that throughout the year. McLaughlin Road was included in Beckwith's budget, so it's been included into our budget here, with the anticipation to be complete this year. The masts and culvert, same thing. It was approved by council. It was under budget, included in here. The fire radios were purchased last year for the 2026 capital budget, but it was done in December. The dry hydrant we have in here, we're hoping to get some kind of funding grant, but we do have it in the budget. New incident command board and tags, they're currently in the process of looking at that. It will now fall underneath that procurement though, so it's gonna change things depending on if it falls under the emergency service exemption or not. The DC study we've approved, and are to start this week or next week, with Watsons and Associates and the 22 acre development. So Shane and I, have many more ideas on what that is going to fund, but we will work together to, get as much done over there this year as we can. which does include trying to get our picnic shelter moved to the 22 acres, getting the storyboards up with the school, getting the Crime Stopper bench, a pad and in place. We just ordered some new garbage receptacles that are funded from the county waste initiative, those kind of things. So the pickleball courts are expected to be complete for next week at some point. So some good things going on there. We received our Ontario Fire Grant for the 18-9. We purchased 5 additional bunker gear sets that will be on rotation for those that, if their gear is out of commission and or dirty. Lanark County Tourism will bring a report to council. It'll probably be split between 2 events, our 50th fire and the Harvest Festival function. Lanark County Environmental Grant, council recalls, you approved for us to use that to get the replacement of the unit over at Rosedale Hall. And then our Senior Active Living Center. So we have a ton of things planned. Actually, we already booked stuff for 2027 today. So we have things ongoing for that. We have a couple of outstanding grants that we have not heard from yet. So Shield Journal for wildland fire coveralls, the Ontario Trillium for a new ball field at the 22 acres. And we have some closing this week that we'll be applying for. So lots of funding, but it's mostly towards recreational and or accessibility items. And we got the 38,000, which I'll have to include on this for the pothole prevention program, which we'll use and continue to apply for. So yeah, we're in good standing for our capital items already. Most of the things have come in under budget, on budget, and will be completed in time.
Any questions? Jeff?
Right, great report, obviously, and it's great to see once again, there's some funding opportunities out there for recreation side of things, which is great. It's great how quickly you're always on too as well. I think this was great steps forward. I guess one of the questions I have is I'm all for the side of it of the Ontario, making sure we're buying Canada and all that kind of idea too as well, but the mindfulness of obviously the ratepayers. So what would happen if we had a report come to council and that was the case and we as council said, you know what, we're not gonna go that route. We are gonna go what would be the consequence, I guess, that we're gonna choose a lower bid, we're gonna choose this even though, because it saves our ratepayers, make up the number $20,000, it doesn't make sense for us to do it. Could that come back on us and saying, no, you're forced now to do this one? Like, are we now being told that we have to buy this? And we don't have, we're losing a little bit of that choice.
Yeah, so Chair through you. So yeah, that's exactly what's happening. So we've been provided direction on how we're gonna do it and we have to report. We have to provide documents as to why we couldn't purchase if we can't purchase, because some things we can't, if it's specialty items. So we have to be able to provide documentation on all of that, report on an annual basis, and I believe our funding will be pulled if we don't follow them.
That's where, so yeah, that funding that keeps getting dwindled, but I mean, it is what it is, but that funding then was ever too bad for you, then it's gonna cost you more because we're gonna pull that funding, which is not high enough as it is to begin with.
Yeah, so there's definitely some pushback, especially as small municipalities that, like we said, we don't have procurement teams, we don't have, and of course, we all like to try and buy local or buy Canadian or Ontario made, but sometimes it's just not financially responsible to our ratepayers to do that. So, where we got our black half ton for $51,000, municipalities are now looking at $85,000 for the Silverado.
So is this something so you said there's already been pushback on my sort of chair, like we can push back. Where's the next steps for that? Is this something that we should be talking about, a delegation side of it to get, do we band together, getting some of our local, our other small municipalities together? Is this something we should go to AMO about and say you know what, we back it, but we also have to be mindful from the cost perspective. We already know what it costs more from a tandem truck, what it cost 10 years ago to today has been substantial, all of those extra costs. What would be our steps? Next step, right? I'm assuming, I know staff is obviously pushing back with others. What's our next steps as far as that goes?
To be honest, a lot of municipalities didn't even know that the directive was implemented. So there was a lot of treasurers that are like, what are you talking about? So I think that it's still kind of new or kind of got snuck under. I'm assuming that AMO is going to take a bit of a hold of this. Again, no one's saying that they don't want to maybe score, potentially that you could score higher, but not that it's the mandated that the 25% price difference and the supply management chain. Let's put it this way, we wouldn't have the staffing, we would have never built that building if this was currently in place at that time. And not because we don't want to support Ontario or Canadian made, it's just because of the workload that would have gone along with it. And then the justification on every single item, right down to lights, furniture, like the screws. So it's definitely making a workload on Treasury Department, especially whenever some of us have 2 or 3 jobs, not just that. And that's really where we're pushing is what kind of funding are you gonna provide for us to implement this type of policy? It's not small.
No, I wonder where it's gonna go to as well. I think it's good that, I mean, I'm sure it's gonna come to the county level too as well, and I think we're fortunate that we have the chair of Roma too as well as part of our county. And I'm curious to know where Krista would also kind of go with that as far as their application too as well. So I think those are discussions that we can have as we go forward, but that's really interesting because 25% is pretty steep for sure, and I think this is this is another one of those big deal things where it could be like, we can't afford, like, we wanna support. I think there's no question about the support that we wanna give behind Buying Canada, but we also have to be cognizant of like what we can actually afford to do and not take a step backwards, so. And
Okay.
thank God that we got the building done.
Yeah, and just to,
Way more complicated to get.
exactly, so just to remember that by the looks of it, any trucks over 4,500 kilos are exempt, so our tandems shouldn't fall into that, because again, they've almost doubled in the last 8 years, so, but it really is that half ton, Dodge doesn't even meet the tier 2. Like, I think tier 2 was Ford, Toyota Tundra, and GMC was tier 2. So, that's where you might see it more. The cost increase is that, like I said, instead of a $51,000 half ton, you're looking at a $5,000 half ton to do the same thing.
Yeah,
Sure.
Adding on to the same thing as Jeff was stating, are we going to, like, for delegation purposes, are we going to attempt to track the differences in costing so that we have something to bring forward to delegations in the future? Just like, taking, for instance, if we're forced to buy this instead of that, the cost difference was this, so that to see, and maybe the other councils should do something similar, so we have some information to bring to AMO delegation, saying, okay, well, this last 6 months cost us an extra $34,000 on these expenditures based on tracking this, because like $34,000, $38,000 to Montague is a lot bigger than, $38,000 to Ottawa. I'm just trying to think of it, is there a way that we can somewhat track?
So we won't, because our purchases are done. We unfortunately snuck under flying, inadvertently, to be honest. So I think that other municipalities are going to have that data for 2026 if they haven't purchased their items. But again, I'm not even sure of, it's kind of been an alarming amount of treasurers that I've spoke to, and I'm not saying in Lanark County, that weren't even aware of it.
interesting, that's for sure, because it goes forward. I think at the other day too as well is like, if everybody's kind of putting that together, like, if Ottawa, you say that, but either all those other pieces. And all of a sudden you're saying, you go back to our conservative government, which is all about making sure that we're not overtaxing our constituents. Saying you have now just cost your Ontario taxpayers like X amount of money because of your rule changes, I guess, so.
So that was actually one of the items that came up, that's a prime example, Deputy, is that someone said, okay, so I don't see an exemption for affordable housing. Our county is building affordable housing right now, I don't see that as an exemption, they're like, it's not exempt. They're like, isn't that contradicting what you're trying to do? Like, you're trying to build affordable housing, but saying, well, you're gonna pay more though because of this. So I think there's going to be changes to this because of, as it rolls out. But the response in that webinar was that, no, they're not exempt at this time. So affordable housing is not exempt from additional costs. It doesn't make any sense.
It's kind of ridiculous sometimes of the way that government works too, as well as, I have a lot of respect for it too, as well as they put something out and they go, wait, and we'll pull something back a little bit here because it's maybe we went too far. So I guess it's a good point and we'll see more of it as it comes.
I think so.
Anyway, that's really interesting. So it's good. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no, it's one of the times when, the provincial bureaucracy takes a good idea and turns it into crap.
Chair.
Quick one. Well, it has to be said, when you try to do something good, buy things in Ontario, do all this kind of stuff, and they turn it into garbage. Because now the lower tier, which gets everything piled onto it all the time, all of a sudden we're gonna have a 3% tax increase because we wanna buy a truck. We'll use the term ludicrous on that one. Anyway, that's the end of my rant for today. Moved by Reeve Jennings, second by Councilor Crabtree, the council accept the 2026 capital works and grant project budget report presented this date as information. All in favor? Carried. There you go, sir.
Thank you, Chair. Council. So this report is for the cleaning of our new municipal complex. As you guys all know, the township put a part-time custodian for the new complex in 2025 and hired an external candidate. The candidate has since resigned for personal reasons, and we've been having it filled by our part-time custodian who cleans Rosedale Hall. We've kind of decided that we think it's best that we go to an actual cleaning company. We have got 3 quotes for this. And for a recommendation, we ask that council awards the cleaning contract to A&B Cleaning Services for the remainder of the 2026 year and the 2027 and 2028 years. The pricing for the contract is to supply all the cleaning supplies and materials. The township will provide the toilet paper, paper towel, and the hand soap. This is different from the previous contract that we used to have at the old company that we had. And the cost, if we were to hire another part-time custodian, will be approximately $9,000 to $10,000, inclusive of the employment costs, plus all the costs of the cleaning supplies. So this would need to be budgeted for the 2027 operating budget. Any questions with?
Questions?
I think you did a great job and I think the pricing is fantastic. Basing it on the numbers provided and what staff costs would be, it's quite comparable and it's great to have an outside source.
I mean, with cleaning supplies and materials, it's,
Yeah, it's a big variance. It's crazy, but it's good. It's good.
And
Be more efficient as well.
yeah, so cheers for you. And I think it's that, it's great that our part-time custodian's filling in for us, but again, Rosedale's been so busy
Yeah.
that it's not part-time between the two, right? So, Shane did a great job in reaching out and getting quotes. They came and saw the facility, so they quoted what they saw. And, so I think that at this point in time, it's been a difficult one to fill.
I think a big kudos out to our custodian too as well. But, he does a great job and he's always there. He's always on call. He's always there when he's needed. And Wiley likes to pick on him sometimes, but that's okay. And it's a great. It's awesome when he steps up and does and keeps it. And like you go into the hall too as well. I mean, it's spick and span. Like it's looking good. So it's really nice what's being done. So this is obviously don't want to overwork him. So this is a great solution. So
It's been nice for him to take over for us, so we haven't been rushed to look into somebody for this new one. And that, so awesome.
No, we appreciate all the work, Jane. Thank you.
Our staff takes on a lot of hats and a lot of extra jobs to fill those voids and that's wonderful, small municipality and that,
I know.
Yeah.
We definitely have a stellar staff, no doubt about that. Moved by Councilor Crabtree, moved by Councilor Crabtree, second by Deputy Reeve Carroll, that council award the cleaning contract to A&B Cleaning Services for the remainder of the 2026 year and the 2027 and 2028 years. That council directs staff to include these costs in the 2027 operating budget. All in favor? Carried. All right, any reports to committee? Petitions? No. Motion, notice of motion, no. Unfinished business, other business? No. Have any questions from anyone out in the crowd? No? All right, Manager Chair. Any online questions? I can't believe that.
Such a quiet
I
night.
know, it's amazing. All right, then, moved by Deputy Reeve Carroll, seconded by Reeve Jennings, at the committee of the whole meeting for May 5th, 2026, now be adjourned at 7:05. All in favor? Carried, thank you all very much.
Go ahead.
So welcome back to our council meeting.
you.
So moved by Deputy
Thank you, Shane.
Carroll, Shane, seconded by Councillor Crabtree, that council resume the council meetings at 7:12 PM. All in favor? Carried. So moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Councillor Johnson, that council moves into closed session at 7:12 PM. As per section 2392 of the Municipal Act 2001 SOC 25, in order to address one item, intermunicipal negotiations, more specifically 2392K, position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board, and that municipal manager, treasurer, deputy clerk Allison Bracken, and clerk planning manager Kirsten Cote remain in the room. All in favor? That's carried.